in front of Central High Soldiers March, titled September 25th, 1957, third attempt. We see all this in
we
vintage
met at
film.
Mrs. Bates' house, and all of these soldiers were there with these Jeeps, and they had these beautiful crisp khaki uniforms on. They were so pretty. They were just beautiful, and they made us feel so safe.
They helped to open the door, ma'am. We'd never been treated like that, first of all, by anybody, and certainly not by any white people. It was pretty exciting just to be treated in this way and to be treated with such respect.
We had a Jeep in front of us and a Jeep behind us, and we all got into the station wagon, and we felt pretty good about that.
We were worried not about what's going to happen when you get to school. We were worried about who gets to sit where in the station wagon.
That was the first time we actually felt free to be ourselves, and we were like giggling and making jokes, and it was a really good feeling.
So we rode in those Jeeps telling our jokes, and we went to school. And only when we get sort of in this white neighborhood, kind of near Central, do we hear these people screaming, boo, and just horrifying kinds of epithets at us.
On the street, man with microphone.
This is Central High School in Little Rock, Arkansas. The morning that the colored students are expected to return back to school, this time under the protection of the 101st Airborne Division. There have been no incidents here this morning, a few minor ones, a few disturbances by some young hoodlums, but they were quickly dispersed of by the troops. The final class bell has just sounded, and we understand that the colored students will be brought up any moment now in U.S. Army cars under the protection of the United States Army.
And as we sped up to the front of the school with helicopters flying around, and this whole school is ringed with soldiers with bayonets drawn, and we get out of the station wagon, and they encircle us with, it must have been at least 15 or 16 soldiers.
Outside the school, large crowds.
I thought we would go to the side door like we tried ourselves and like the police did. The guard pulled up in front of the school and walked us all the way across that big ocean, up those steps. It took a long time to get in there.
I remember the soldiers walking us up those steps, and there were students who were kind of like in a barricade, and the soldiers went right through them. I felt like that was a triumphant moment for me, to have our protectors just have them part, like part in the Red Sea. And the students were chanting 2s, 4s, 6, 8, we don't want to integrate. And we developed this line to ourselves, 8, 9, 10, the guards would take us in.
We went to the door. When we got inside, we were met by 2 soldiers each, and they went with me to my classes.
Lee Johnson.
We had a big assembly, all the students, and the general that was in charge of the troops, Major General Edwin Walker, he got up in front of the student body, and he pretty well laid the law down. He let it be known that, you know, they weren't going to tolerate any kind of trouble.
There you are. That's the story. The colored students are in Central High School in Little Rock, Arkansas. No demonstrations, no catcalls, no jeers. They're going to spend a full day in there now in integrated classes.
Every class I walked into that day, a contingent of students got up and left. They gave me the benefit of their best thinking about me and people like me, and they said, we're not coming back as long as you're here.
Jerry
When
Butler.
I got to the attendance office, there was a list of people who had checked out of school. There were just pages and pages in that book of people who had written their name, and out beside where they wrote the reason to leave, they had written coon and nigger and all kinds of racial statements.
At the end of the day, the guards took us back. The convoy was out there again, and we went back to Mrs. Bates' house and probably discussed what happened that day, and then our parents or whoever was driving us home took us home, and that started the regime of doing that practically every day, getting up the next day and starting all over again.
On a sidewalk, African-American teenagers with books in their arms.